Cuban responds, if you want to go back one, there you go, Rob. He responds back and says, Elon, there will come a time when you need something from Trump. You will think you will have earned the right to ask and receive. You have been a loyal, faithful soldier to him. You have supported him politically with tens of millions of dollars. Then at the point you need him the most, you will find out what so many before you have learned. His loyalty is only to himself. So when you see that, I give my response. I said, in other words, Kamala owes you many favors. 2, you trust that Kamala Harris will 100% deliver on her favors she owes you. 3, you were expecting a job from Trump in 2016 and didn't get it. Or 4, you're assuming Elon is wired like you. What is your thoughts, Vivek, when you see this interaction?
So look, I actually love authentic, no holds bar, take off the filter interactions. And I think the beauty of X, right, which Elon bought, is that you can have these exchanges out in the open. So I give Mark Cuban, he's going to take some criticism for it, but he's got the guts to say what he wants. Elon is like so many other business people who are too afraid in corporate America of being canceled for their views. You know what he told the advertisers to go screw themselves, F off, basically, is what he told them. And so I think it's just great when we have more of these gloves off, straight up pummeling conversations. Now, I'll tell you this is about Elon is both of those things that those two guys said can be true, right? Where Mark Cuban says, oh, you're not going to get something from Donald Trump for it, which may reveal that that's not actually Elon's motivation. Elon's motivation is that he cares about the future of the country. And so there's two different visions of American politics. One is where you're dealing with politicians as puppets, pieces on a chessboard. And you got the people who are wielding those interests, moving them on that chessboard. That's one vision. And that exists. I mean, that is a real sad, dark reality of how a lot of American politics works. And then there's the separate version, which is the idealistic vision, which is to say that I have certain shared ideals. And Elon and Donald Trump don't agree on everything. Donald Trump and I don't agree on everything. I think the part of the coalition that President Trump has built this time around especially is it's a group of people who don't agree on 100% of every last issue, but still agree on the basic principles of how the country is supposed to work. Free speech and open debate. Meritocracy. The best person ought to get the job, not based on their race or their skin color. You actually have to have self-governance. It shouldn't be bureaucrats running the country, but elected representatives. The rule of law, that's a big one. I mean, that relates to this whole issue related to the immigration crisis. Elections we can trust and believe in. Those are basic rules of the road. And we're united around that. Great. I'm not expecting anything in return. I just want to see that happen for the country. I think that's where Elon's coming from here. And so is there an element of truth to what Mark Cuban says about generally how American politics works? Absolutely. The idea that there are people who do it expecting special favors in return. Is that the relationship that Elon says he has or even appears to have with Donald Trump? Absolutely not. It's a group of shared allies. And I consider myself in this boat as well, who I don't want anything for myself in response. I don't care about what that means for me individually. It's not what I get, but it's about what do we all give to advance the ball forward for our country. And that's my sense of where Elon's coming from as well.
Tom, your thoughts?
I think there's some very obvious things that Mark Cuban was projecting. I mean, Mark Cuban has entered the pharmaceutical industry with fanfare. I believe there's some nobility to what the company's trying to do, but also he needs a lot of assistance. He's made a comment about wanting to be head of the SEC, and he also went head-to-head with the SEC, and they went after him. And he had a famous quote that was, you have to be very careful if a government investigator wants your skin on the wall, because they're probably going to get it. And so there's kind of something that's come full circle there. But I think I appreciate what you said, because I don't believe that both men, Elon and Cuban, are on the same wavelengths. I do believe Elon is very, very concerned and very serious and accurate without spin about the country and about the future of elections. I think that's true. And I also think that Cuban is a little self-interested right now and seems to have kind of put on the jersey all the way. And I think there's stuff that he wants, and I think he's serious about the SEC, and I also think he's serious about the assistance he wants for his pharmaceutical company. I think that there's nothing in Cuban that cares about the country? No. I don't think he's completely over the waterfall.
Adam.
Well, I think it's most ironic to see who's in Trump's corner these days.
We're being very political right now, so this is like very safe talk so far. So
maybe I'll be a little controversial then. Can
I like
we
you
pull up
calling
that?
this out, Patrick. That's
Can we
good.
pull
That's
up that quote again? Elon's spot on with what's going on with the border. I mean, I think that whatever's happened with the border sort of disqualifies the never was the border czar, Kamala Harris, from actually protecting the border. But the part of this, let me explain forever, that even if 20 illegals become citizens per year, something that Democratic are expediting, seemingly possible, that would be 2 million new legal voters in 4 years. There's been talk of this for a while. You know, the one thing that Cuban gets true is Trump does demand loyalty. I mean, I don't know if he, asked for your hand in loyalty or anything like that, but that is sort of something that you hear about Trump, is that there's a one-way street to loyalty. We've heard it. We've heard people talk about this. How many people have come through the Trump administration that said, I cannot support this guy? Generals, the list goes on and on and on. But if it's a binary choice, which it is at this point, I mean, Kamala has disqualified herself, in my opinion, but it doesn't mean that Trump is perfect. So
Yeah, let me say this word, because this comes up a lot with Donald Trump, and people use it mostly as like a negative to say that he wants loyalty. Let me frame this in a different way, which I think is closer to the mark. I think if you're an executive, right, and Patrick, we'll just bring this back to the business setting. You have a mission at a company. You want people who work at the company who are aligned with that mission. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you're not. Let's say your mission is, I don't know, making water bottles. Maybe we could think about a different example. Maybe your mission is you have a steakhouse, okay, and you want to serve excellent steak. You want people who are aligned with that mission, not somebody who's opposed to the existence of a steakhouse. That doesn't mean that person doesn't have the right to have that opinion. It just means they shouldn't be working at your company. Well, the same thing I would say of running the U.S. government. You have a vision for the country. You have a way you want to run the show. You want to thin out, let's say, bureaucracy. You want to limit the number of federal regulations that are being passed by bureaucrats. You don't want people who are working for you who believe in a different vision for the country. That doesn't mean they're bad people. That doesn't mean that they don't enjoy the same rights as every other American. But who on earth would say that I'm running as an executive an entire set of departments, but I have people who are unaligned with the mission that I'm on? So there's a difference between loyalty in the sense of like, okay, you have to sign. No, I did not when I endorsed Donald Trump. I was not asked to sort of do a blood oath.
No blood oath.
Okay, there's
exactly.
no blood oath. All right, we did not cut
This isn't the
cut our
mafia.
arms and bleed together. No, that was not that kind of
Like
loyalty.
The Hangover.
But the question is, are you aligned with the same mission? Now, it doesn't mean you can have some disagreements. Of course, I said earlier, we don't agree on 100% of issues. Elon and Donald and you have a bunch of other people and Trump who are supporting Trump don't agree with him on every other issue, on every individual issue. But are you aligned on the basic mission? I do think you got to be loyal to the overall mission of making America great again, of reviving our constitutional principles. And I think that that's, again, like so many things with the media, been perverted to mean something very different, as though it's some type of personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, you earned that, right? And what's the earning? Moral authority. How do you get moral authority? By delivering on your promises. If you're doing your part and you're setting the example, then the expectation for loyalty goes higher. This is in sports. Tom Brady. The other day, a clip came out, which I freaking loved. I don't know if you saw this exchange with Baker Mayfield and Tom Brady.
I did not.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so check this out. So Baker Mayfield, if you have that, type in Baker Mayfield and Brady. That clip is everywhere. I would like to see Baker and Brady. If there's a video that shows both of them, it's not in there. Well, I'll just tell you what he said. So Baker says, "Look, I mean, when Brady was here at Tampa, it was very stressful, because guys were all on the edge. They wanted me to." This is the one. Go ahead and play this, Rob. This is the entire clip. So watch this.
Our guy here said, quote, "They wanted me to come in, be myself, bring the joy back to football for guys who weren't having as much fun." It's funny because you've made this environment for me very stressful up here in the booth, so I understand where he's coming from.
Do you feel it?
No.
Feel the stress? No. Well, I was going to say, I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. So there was a mindset of a champion that I took to work every day.
Watch what he says. If I want to have
This
fun.
wasn't daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was going to go to Disneyland with my kids.
You can pause it
Yeah,
right there.
so-
Now, listen, Baker's having a good start, but there's a difference between somebody who is on, he's on the road, working his ass off, away from his family, doing their part. You can expect loyalty. So I don't have a challenge with that part. And I know sometimes the argument is you got to be loyal to the country for sure, but that person gave you the job. Let's fulfill the mission and be aligned towards whatever the mission is. Okay. Do you think Cuban, this is just a feel, I'm curious to know what you'll say. Do you think he has interest of running in 28?
I think it would not shock me if he did.
Okay.
I think if you asked him right now, in his own heart, he would tell himself that, no, of course I'm not interested in that. I'm crushing it in the private sector. I can't handle, that type of public life. But I think in his heart, he's clearly got something in him that is drawing him back. He's really interested in American politics, really interested in expressing his own opinions, and to his credit, engaging with people who disagree with him. He and I had a great hour-long conversation. I didn't want to dunk on him too much there. My goal was to bring him on.
You weren't trying to do that.
Yeah, that was not the goal. But I think that, would I be shocked if he did in 28? No, I would not.
Yeah, I think, by the way.
And I think he'd have a reasonable following behind him.
I think he would.
Because people like a businessman.
I think he would be a phenomenal candidate for the left. I think he'd be a phenomenal candidate for the left, and I think he'd be formidable.
Look, I just look at it this way. If instead of Kamala Harris being the nominee, say it was fill in the blank of who it was, but somebody of Mark Cuban's pedigree, right? Maybe use him as an example. Would that be better for the country? Undoubtedly, yes. It would be better for the country, right? Because then we could have a contest based on ideas about people who on both sides, say what you will, know at least how to win through American capitalism, which is part of what made this country great the first time around. I think that would be better for the country. Do I disagree with his policy views? I do, especially on issues relating to ESG, DEI, equity in the country. But let's have that debate in the open amongst people who at least are competent and have achieved success, rather than what we have right now, which is somebody who's never signed the front of a paycheck, only ever signed the back of one from public funds to their bank account. And I think that is something we need more of on both sides, is people who have succeeded in the private sector, businessmen or businesswomen, whatever, in American politics. I think that's a good thing.